you can see in front of you a page from Microsoft Excel. There are 3 sheets, 1, 2, 3. Other than that, nothing. So the first thing I want to do is to create a title sheet. This is my title sheet. Now I'm going to click onto it . And then you can see that when I press the right hand mouse, up comes this. Let's make my title sheet 36. I can move it where I want. I can even put my name down underneath it. Jack Barnett 21. Highlight it, and as you see, when I go along there like so, I get this vague outline here. So Microsoft is trying to help me by putting that there, but I can't always get it like that. See, it's going a bit vague. If you press the right hand mouse, then it comes up strongly. Okay, let's go up there, make it 20, that's fine. Now as a title sheet, this is a bit poor really. Why is it? Because there's all this junk around it. When I say junk, I mean all of this. All of this. So if we took that off by going to Home, Insert, no, Page Layout. What have we got there? There you are. Sheet options in Page Layout. Grid lines, gone. If I go to View, no, it was Page Layout. Sheet options and View. Now I have my page looking much better, so I'm going to change it to title sheet. Underneath, how to use Microsoft Excel. I should put in 07 there, shouldn't I? Well, let's change, double click on here and then drag across. Press the right hand button and change the font to about 18. That's better. How to use Microsoft Excel. Let's put that across. Didn't like that very much. How to use Microsoft Excel. That's better. Now let's move this down. Click there. Didn't like that either. Microsoft Excel 07, and if I was right, that was 20, wasn't it? Was it? No, come on, you have to pay attention. There we are. How to use Microsoft Excel to put information on a page. Alright. First, second, third. Okay. Now, let's see if we can put a button on here to change from one page to another page. Alright, we want a button. Insert table button. What about that? Clip art? No, we want buttons. Do any of these look like buttons? Page layout, sheet, breaks, size, margins. I guess I need to know about buttons, don't I? Where are buttons? Data, review, developer. Developer buttons, insert. What about that? Now that looks like a button. Doesn't it look like a button? Let's put it down here. Right onto it. Second page. Font size 16. Okay, are we happy with the colour of it? We've got all manner of colours we can use, but let's make it fairly light and make the text fairly dark. There's some text colour there. Dark blue. There we are. Now what do I want to do? I want to get from here to here using this. Why? Because it looks more professional. Okay, so step one. Click onto here, go up to View, and we come to Macros. There we are. Record macro. Remember when putting the title in here, no spaces. I could go for a shortcut key. Alright, let's see about that. What do I want? And OK that. It didn't like that. It says it must be a letter. 2 T. Control T. OK. Now I've got to stop my macro. No, I haven't moved there yet. Right, so I've labelled that. Now I've got to move to there. Now at this point, View, Macro, Stop recording. Let's go back there. There's my second page macro. So I've got to click onto it, assign macro, page 2, and OK. Now when I press it, I can get there. If I go to Control T, I can get there as well, but you can't see that. Let's go back. Now I want a copy of this button. I don't want to be making buttons all the time, so I've pressed my right hand mouse, I've come here, and I've got another button. If I cut this button by pressing Ctrl and X and go to my second page and paste it by going Ctrl and V, I've got my button here. Now if I press this button is a copy of this button. All it'll do is take me, well, it won't do anything. Watch. I'm already on there, so it's not doing anything. So what we need is a second macro. I'm going up to View up here. I'm going to Macros. I'm going to record macro, page 1, and I'll call that O. I'll even write a description in. Now I've got to actually do it, haven't I? I've got to go from here to here, and now I need to go back to View, Macros, Stop Recording. Go back to the second page. I could actually go into here and change this to first page, click off it. Now what I need to do is to click onto it here, go up to Assign Macro, and click on to page 1. Now when I press it, it'll take me back to my title sheet. Right, there's page 2, there's page 1. Now if you suddenly say, hang on, I don't like that, I want to call it title. Interesting idea. I go to page 2. When I press this now, there seems to be an error. I can either end it, or I can go back again and debug it. Once I come in to debug it, I find here that it's saying on my macro, this takes us back to page 1. But page 1 should be called that, but we've changed first to title. So if now I call this title, okay, let's come out of here, okay. Now, you see what I've done? What I've said is, now did you understand that? Let's see again. I had a button here that would take me to the second page. I came to the second page and I was about to use my button here when up came runtime error 9. Why? Because I changed the title of that. I can either end, go back and change it, or go back to debug. You see here, under debug, I'll change that to first. Okay, that's fair enough. I've done that. Close that. Close the debugging page. I've stopped that, and now I'm here. When I want to go back to the first page, I press that and it will take me back there. Okay, now I can make as many copies of this as I want. Alright, this is obviously a copy. I can put it down here. If I press it, it'll take me to the second page. But what I want to do is to go to the third page. How do I get to the third page? When I press third page, it takes me to the second page. Obviously what I've got to do is to create another macro. Now when you talk about the macro, we've already been through this once. My sheet is 3/4 size. Because of this, I get to my macros by going into View. When the sheet is full size covering your whole screen, then what you can do is go to Developer and get macros there. If I go to Developers here, I get that, and it's not really giving me much of a choice. It's running a sheet of macros. So let's go back to View. I don't want to view macros, I want to record a macro. What do I want in my macro? I want page 3. Remember, I can't use numbers on here, so I'll put F for free. This is a macro for page 3, and I have called the shortcut F for free. Doesn't make much sense, but I'll just leave it as that. Alright, now what have we got to do when we write the macro? We're already in the middle of the macro, and so we've got to do something. What have we got to do? We've got to go to the third page, click it. Now we go to View, down come the menus, Macros, Stop Recording. Now I've got to move back here using this, because I haven't copied this. No, I didn't want that, I wanted that. I wanted a copy of that, didn't I? Come on, give me a copy. Sometimes when alright, copy. I want to go to the third page and paste. There it is. That's better. I press Ctrl and V to get my first page. Now, if I press that, I get to my first page. If I press this, of course I go to the second page. Now why didn't I get to the third page? Because I want to assign the macro. I want the macro page 3 onto there. Now if I do that, it'll take me to page 3. Remember to get the text large. There you are. 3. Alright, let's go back to the first page. I've got a title sheet, how to use Microsoft Excel-07 to put information on a page. I've put on 2 macros, second page, third page. I've dealt with what happens if you change a page. Now let's try. You see, I was in trouble on that page when I didn't have that there. This macro button here. What if I wanted to do a 4th page? Alright, let's go to here. I'm here. I've pressed the 3rd page. I click onto there and make a copy by clicking Create a Copy. Alright, I want to go to there, and you see that? It's created a 3rd, but it's a 2nd edition of a 3rd. Let's highlight it and write in there 4th. We could even press on it and move it down to there. Now when you look at this page here in front of me, this is not page 3, this is page 4. but the button is already here. Right? So now, what do we need? We've got the title sheet, page 1. Second page, we need it to say second page. That'll do for the moment. No, it won't. Let's make it bigger. Second page. Page 3 or third page. Back to the first. Now I want to go to the fourth page. Right, I can click onto there. I can copy it. I can Control V and paste it. I can go onto it and change the title to fourth. So far so good, but we know that if we click onto it, it'll take us to the third page. Page 3. We've got to write a new macro. Here we go. Sorry about the telephone call. Alright, now where am I now? I'm clicking here. I've gone up to View. I've gone into Macro. Record Macro. I've got page 4. Remember, no spaces. I'm a bit in a trouble about 4. What about G? Right, now I've got to do something with it. What's the thing I've got to do? I'm there. I've got to go to fourth. Okay. Now what have I got to do? I've got to go to View, Macros, Stop Recording, click back to page 1, and remember I've got to assign a macro. You should be clicked onto that before you assign a macro to it. And I want page 4 there. Now when I click off it, there's page 1. There's page 2. No, there isn't. Sorry. This is page 1. There's page 2. There's the third page, page 3. Each time I'm going back to the first page to my macros, and there's the fourth page. Alright, back to the first. Now remember, I took off by going to the sheet options, the grid lines and the headings. Okay? Now I realise that you don't want the grid lines on your title sheet, but you do want the grid lines on your other sheet where you're going to do some Excel work. What you possibly won't need is this great big macro there. So press it with the right hand button, move it, perhaps up near your title, make it smaller. Alright, you might even take this up to there. Each time you touch it with the left hand button on your mouse, of course it'll actually work and do things. So put it up to there, and there you are. Alright, now that's been rather long-winded, I think, but I hope it's been useful in how to use Microsoft Excel 07.